Attention, Falcons Nation! Drop everything right now, because what you're about to discover will completely transform your perspective on this franchise's future. Explosive information just leaked from Flowery Branch, and it changes everything surrounding the quarterback position, front office drama, and the Falcons' destiny. I'm not talking about empty rumors or speculation. These are concrete developments causing an earthquake across the entire NFL right this second. Thought you knew everything about the team? Brace yourself for a major twist. In recent days, shocking revelations have emerged about front office decisions and coaching staff moves that nobody saw coming. We're talking about changes that will define the next several years of this franchise, answers that fans deserve to have, and truths that can no longer stay hidden. Here's the critical part. If you're a true Falcons fanatic who wants to stay ahead of all the insider information before everyone else, subscribe now and smash that notification bell. Only 1% of viewers actually subscribe, but that 1% forms our exclusive community and always stays one step ahead. Drop your like, share this with fellow fans, and become part of this revolution. Because what comes next, you absolutely cannot miss. Let's uncover the truth about the Falcons together. Here's what you need to understand, and I mean really understand, about what's happening right now in Atlanta. The organization is at a crossroads, and the path they choose in the next few weeks will determine whether we're looking at a quick rebuild or another half-decade of mediocrity. The stakes have never been higher, and the pressure is mounting from every direction. The mailbag questions from fans aren't just casual curiosity anymore. They're hitting on the exact issues that are being debated in war rooms and executive offices right now. And here's the thing that's got me fired up. We finally have answers. Real answers. Not coach speak, not corporate PR garbage, but actual insight into what's been going on behind closed doors. Let's dive into the biggest revelation that came out this week, and honestly, this is where things get wild. The play action and under center situation that has had Falcons Nation pulling their hair out all season? We finally got the full explanation from head coach Raheem Morris, and it's way more complex than anyone realized. Here's the breakdown, and pay close attention because this tells you everything about how this coaching staff operates. When Kirk Cousins came back from that torn Achilles last season, he wasn't just dealing with physical limitations, he was dealing with comfort and confidence issues that fundamentally changed the offensive playbook. Morris admitted straight up that Cousins felt more comfortable in the pistol because, and this is huge, it kept him from having to turn his back to the defense while he was still recovering confidence in that surgically repaired leg. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the part that should have every Falcons fan sitting up straight. Now that Cousins is back to what he's been in the past, the entire offensive scheme shifted overnight to accommodate him. We saw it against the Saints, play action, under center looks, the chump plays through the air that we've been begging for all season long. It was like watching a completely different offense, and the results spoke for themselves. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about but everyone is thinking. What does this mean for Michael Penix Jr.'s development? Because if we're being honest with ourselves, the evidence is staring us right in the face. The Falcons have been running a simplified, pistol-heavy offense with Penix for the same reason they did with Cousins last year. He's not comfortable or efficient operating under center yet. And look, before the Penix truthers come after me, let me be clear, this isn't about talent. This isn't about arm strength or processing speed or any of that. This is about development and comfort level with NFL concepts that separate good quarterbacks from great quarterbacks. The best offenses in the league right now. We're talking Matthew Stafford with the Rams, Jared Goff in Detroit. They're utilizing under center looks and play action at elite rates. These aren't coincidences, people. This is what championship level quarterback play looks like. Here's the kicker that should terrify every Falcons fan. Penix's player comp coming out of the draft was Stafford. That was the comparison that got everyone excited. But if the coaching staff doesn't trust him to operate in those same concepts that made Stafford a Super Bowl champion, we've got a massive development gap that needs to be closed, and we need to close it fast. Now, let's address the elephant in the room that's got fans spiraling into conspiracy theories. The injuries. Oh man, the injuries. Chris Lindstrom, Matthew Bergeron, Drake London, Michael Penix Jr.'s partially torn ACL, Billy Bowman Jr.'s Achilles, Jalen Walker's lingering groin issue. It feels like every week we're adding another name to the casualty list, right? But here's where we need to pump the brakes on the panic train. The questions about the strength and conditioning program? They're understandable, but they're also misguided. And I'm going to tell you exactly why, with receipts. First off, let's look at the nature of these injuries. The vast majority of them are contact injuries, bodies falling into legs at the line of scrimmage, awkward tackles, freak accidents on the practice field. You cannot strength and condition your way out of 300-pound humans colliding at full speed. That's just the brutal reality of NFL football. But here's the real story that's not getting enough attention. The strength and conditioning staff is actually one of the bright spots of this organization right now. And we've got hard data to back this up. Remember the NFLPA report cards? Under Arthur Smith's regime, the strength and conditioning program got an F-. Dead last in the league. Players literally said it was toxic and not even NFL quality, let alone championship level. Only 24% of players felt they got individualized training plans. That's abysmal. Fast forward to now, and the new staff is getting an A grade from players. 95% say they get individualized plans. Players rank the staff 5th out of 32 teams in terms of contributing to their success. Players are calling it 100 times better than the prior staff and saying they do an excellent job. That's a complete 180-degree turn. So when you're watching Chris Lindstrom go down with a lower leg injury after bodies pile up at the line of scrimmage, or you see Penix's knee bend awkwardly on a tackle, don't blame the weight room. That's football, and it's brutal, and sometimes good players get hurt through no fault of anyone. All right, now we need to talk about the 500-pound gorilla that's been lurking in the background of every conversation about this franchise, Terry Fontenot's future as general manager. And buckle up, because this section is going to make some people very uncomfortable. Let me start with this. Fontenot has done some legitimately great things during his tenure. The pass rush revival? That's all him. For 2 decades, the Falcons couldn't generate pressure on opposing quarterbacks. It was embarrassing. It was a franchise-defining weakness that got exploited year after year. But right now, today, the Falcons rank 3rd in the NFL with 39 sacks, already 8 more than all of last season. And most of that production is coming from guys drafted in the last 3 years. That's not luck, that's scouting, development, and smart personnel decisions. Free agency wins? He's got them. Jesse Bates III has been everything we hoped for and more. Caden Ellis is a tone setter on defense. Cordarrelle Patterson gave us years of explosive playmaking. Mike Hughes exceeded expectations. These aren't small victories, these are foundation-building moves that good GMs make. But, and this is a massive but, none of that changes the reality that we're staring down the barrel of a 5th consecutive losing season. 5 years without a winning record. 5 years of missing the playoffs. 5 years of next year and building for the future and trust the process. At some point, you've got to deliver results. Here's where things get really spicy, and this is coming from Mike Sando at The Athletic, one of the most respected NFL analysts in the business. He called Fontenot's decision-making organizational malpractice. Those aren't my words, those are his. And when you look at the track record, it's hard to argue. Let's run through the list of questionable decisions, and I want you to really think about each one. Kyle Pitts at 4th overall, the highest drafted tight end in NFL history. Taken ahead of Jamar Chase, Patrick Surtain, Penei Sewell, and Micah Parsons. Every single one of those guys is on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now. Every single one. And Pitts? He likely won't even get a second contract in Atlanta. Then Fontenot doubled down, going skill position in the top 10 for the next 2 years. Drake London and Bijan Robinson are fantastic players, don't get me wrong. They're talented, they're productive, they're exactly what you want from those draft slots. But their best years are being wasted because we don't have consistent quarterback play. That's not their fault, that's a roster construction failure at the highest level. And speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about the elephant that just stampeded through the room and knocked over all the furniture. The Kirk Cousins signing paired with the Michael Penix Jr. draft pick is going to go down as one of the most baffling sequences of moves in NFL history. I'm calling it now. Think about this logically. You sign a 35-year-old quarterback coming off a torn Achilles to a deal with $90 million fully guaranteed. That's a win-now move. That's saying we're ready to compete for championships right now. But then, just weeks later, you use a top 10 pick on a quarterback with durability concerns who's now dealing with his third season-ending ACL injury. Third! That's not building for the future. That's creating chaos and confusion about what the plan actually is. The Falcons thought they were being clever. They thought they'd outsmarted the entire league by having their cake and eating it too, competing now with Cousins while developing the future with Penix. In reality, all they did was complicate the timeline, invite nonstop quarterback controversy, hamstring both players' chances of success, and burn through resources that could have been used to address other needs. And here's the absolute worst part. We're heading into an offseason where neither Cousins nor Penix is a clear answer for the future. Cousins needs to play lights out down the stretch just to stay on the roster in 2026. Penix is recovering from another major knee surgery with questions about his readiness to run a full NFL offense. We're back to square one at the most important position in sports. This is where you come in, Falcons Nation. This is where your voice matters. The organization is listening. Trust me, they hear the frustration, they see the social media posts, they know the fans are demanding accountability. So let me know in the comments, do you trust this front office to get it right? Should Fontenot survive another losing season? Is Raheem Morris the right coach to lead us forward? What would you do if you were calling the shots? Drop your thoughts below, smash that subscribe button because we're going to be covering every development as this season unfolds, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. The drama in Atlanta is just getting started, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next. Rise up, Falcons Nation. We've been through worse, and we'll get through this. But the time for blind faith is over. The time for accountability is now. Go Falcons!